up, he now started the same model of South Korea. Labor intensive, kwanza. So China also got something called adoption. It's like copying, so to say. So they could see a technology happening somewhere, no need of R&D, no need of tiring your mind. There is this shirt, start manufacturing that shirt. This tie, they start manufacturing exactly it. Why? Their labor was cheap. So this company manufacturing a tie maybe somewhere in England, China would produce exactly the same tie by adopting other people's technology and then produce more ties and actually make those companies, they borrow the technology. Because you move from low production, from labor intensive, you still on productivity. Remember, productivity of a country is the summation of my productivity and yours and the other person. And what is productivity? You may even measure it through income. I don't know whether I'm being too fast. If you go to the formula I gave you about the production formula of GDP, service industry accounts for 65% of our economy because 18 plus 17 is 35. What remains is 65. But this agriculture of 18%, the primary production, is employing over 70% of the entire rural population in Kenya. What does that mean? 18% of the GDP carrying 70% of the rural population. It means the productivity is too low per person. So to grow the bigger cake, then grow the smaller cakes down there of per person. So I'm coming back to China, but I am attaching all of them. So China, South Korea, start with labor intensive. But labor intensive are associated with low wages, low productivity per worker. But you have no choice by then, because you are dealing with one a social problem, which is unemployment, but you're also dealing with an economic one. We need to grow. So labor intensive industries expand job opportunities. So you solve a social problem. But because the labor is cheap, your products become more competitive. But after that, the same China we know, 20 years ago, they were taking this type, producing it. But now, gentlemen, within a short time, the economy lands. Not just copying and adopting other people's technology. They start now inviting other people who want to manufacture in China. So you go there as an EV company. One of the things you have to sign is that you'll be sharing your research and development to the government. Your findings of R&D can be accessible to government. But there is no bigger whale than that. So companies go there because they think China is very robust in terms of the size. They establish companies, but the guys are intelligent. They are just taking up research, development. Now the reverse happens. Now the China we are talking about today, guys, they have the largest EV manufacturer in the world. Not using other people's technology. Their technology is higher than the Western technology in terms of EVs. Their batteries are higher technology than the ones Tesla is using. Their production per vehicle is more efficient than the one Tesla is making. Within a very short span of time, an economy moves from low productivity, labor-intensive sectors, upgrades to higher technology ones. Now they are at the apex. As I talk to you now, the rare ads that are meant for AI, China knew that over 12 years ago. They came up with a policy. Now the entire world realized last year that the entire rare earth in the world, China in their pocket, they have 70% of that. That's why you see, like the US tries to bulldoze China by some tariffs. Xi Jinping doesn't even call a press conference. He does only one thing. He regulates the imports, not even the exports. He regulates who buys the rare earths. Then, after some time, diplomatically, the superpower of the world has to call China on a round table. Moving from low technology, labor intensive, up the ladder, up to the apex. So, in my opinion, Kenya, we still need a lot of labor-intensive industries. And these points I will not overemphasize. So I don't want to take not more than 10 minutes to wind up. Kenya, in my opinion, unemployment, there is a difference. Forget about the figures we report called unemployment. Unemployment may deceive you. There's a difference between unemployment and joblessness. There is a word that gets reported is called unemployment. But remember, the definition of unemployment is somebody who has not earned anything for the last 4 weeks, and somebody who has not actively looked for a job for the past few weeks also. But remember, joblessness includes the people who already did that for years, they gave up. That's the biggest in Kenya. So we still have a big problem with joblessness. So we still need a lot of labor-intensive industries. But these labor-intensive industries must not necessarily be in primary production, because we will be trapped in a low-level equilibrium. A farmer in Kenya currently, whatever kind of farming you do, you are trapped in a low-level equilibrium. You will never break even in terms of breaking the ceiling to get wealthy until you upgrade to adding value to your own produce, either alone or as a cooperative. Because it doesn't matter, even if you have 1,000 acres, 10,000 acres, the margins in farming are still too low, and the labor that is needed is still too low, and the dependence on weather is still too high for you to scale. So you still farm, yes, but you farm knowing it's not the head. There has to be another head. There is something called capital accumulation. All the economies we aspire to be like, and there is one I am avoiding to mention because I don't want us to have both of this discussion with those political semantics. There's one country that I would really have wanted to give an example with here, but I'm avoiding it. You know it. Capital accumulation, the reason you guys, you see me talk about shares all the time, and NSE, is because I believe, to a large extent, the economic break in Kenya, NSE has a very big role to play. A developing market has a huge role to play to manufacturing, has a huge role to play in advanced service and technology. How? If you look at all those type balls I talked about South Korea, yes, internal resources were